guys, and what is going on? This is the Club of the Man, 1993, coming at you for the 21st edition of my SummerSlam Retro and Review series. As we are now on SummerSlam 2008, which is the first SummerSlam in the PG era. I believe it was sometime in summer 2008. It was when the WWE transitioned from the TV-14 rating to the PG rating. Even though, of course, it kind of has sent the product downhill since. They still had their good shows here and there. SummerSlam 2008 compared to the past handful we've had. I mean, they have been bad. Well, 2007's I did not like. SummerSlam 2007 was a really crappy show, I thought, in my honest opinion. 2008 though was a good show, but I felt that with the card that it was presented, and even critics said this too, and I will get some notes and reviews on this show also. This show could have been better than what it was. It was still a good show, had a pretty stacked card, had a big moment in there as well, which is still, in my opinion, even though I wasn't watching at the time, one of my favorite segments of all time, I'd say. But it didn't quite capitalize as high as I'm sure a lot of us expected to. I mean, the second half of the show was the strongest part. The first half, there was nothing awful on this show, I thought. I mean, the lowest was okay, when I was grading these matches just to get my level of how I'd say I thought they were. I think the lowest I gave was a C-, and that includes Triple H and Great Khali as well. But without further ado, though, let's get right into this review. Though this took place on August 17th, 2008, at Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. The opening match was a match between Jeff Hardy and MVP. Apparently, it looked like there was somewhat of a three-way feud here involving Jeff Hardy, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP. It seemed like, for the most part, this match was just Jeff Hardy and MVP. The match wasn't too bad. It didn't have Jeff Hardy being as risk-taking in this match as he is in most of his other matches. And I think the problem was, which it still worked in some ways, because that dropkick finisher that MVP had was being very emphasized in this feud. And it seemed like, that was something that, Jeff could not overcome. And it had Jeff, being cautious of that dropkick. I felt like that may have toned down, Jeff's Daredevil style a little bit in this match, which is why, I thought it was more so a solid match than a great match, I thought. The match, though, towards the end of the match, it looked like Jeff was about to hit the Swanton bomb on MVP when he had him, right where he wanted him. But then Shelton Benjamin came out, and then Jeff Hardy did a crossbody on him to take Benjamin out. But then he got back into the ring, and he got back up to do the Swanton bomb, but at this time, MVP had revived himself, so he missed. So it was kind of a way to protect both Jeff and MVP, because MVP eventually did get the drop kick on Jeff Hardy. I think it was called the Playmaker or whatever the heck that finisher was called. I can't remember. But that's what got MVP to get the win, thanks to having a little more time to revive himself, not be hit the Swanton bomb, thanks to Shelton Benjamin. Again, apparently there was something going on between the three of them at the time, so I'm not sure if this eventually led to a triple threat match eventually between the three of them. It felt like for an opener for SummerSlam wasn't bad, but I'm not sure if the feud would ever get higher elevated to being some type of it's a triple threat match just for no apparent reason. I just needed to see what the story was if they did do another match eventually at another pay-per-view. But I thought it was a solid opener. Again, it was just a different vibe for Jeff to wrestle and him trying to avoid MVP's dropkick. So MVP wins that opening match. It's pretty solid, as I said. We had a backstage interview. Maria Kanellis was interviewing the team of Glamorella, Beth Phoenix, and Santino Marella, who was a heel team at the time. And, of course, Santino was raving about his unibrow. It was just an interview hyping up, the match. Well, actually, Santino was talking about how, I guess, him and Maria had a thing, but then that didn't go anywhere. So now he has Beth Phoenix, and they're calling themselves Glamorella. And it was just talking about how their upcoming tag match they had, which we had next. It was an intergender tag team match, which means that it was legal for men and women to fight each other. It was Mickie James and Kofi Kingston, the Women's and Intercontinental Championships. Now, apparently, Kofi Kingston, this is Kofi's first SummerSlam. He was drafted over to Raw from ECW, and he won the Intercontinental Championship off of Chris Jericho. So it was that babyface team against the heel tag team of Santino Marella and Beth Phoenix. And whoever won, whichever team won the match, would take both the women's and Intercontinental Championships. And this match was okay. It wasn't awful. I enjoyed it in some ways for some of the spots like that Mickey got and Kofi got in there as well. And I never really was a big fan of Santino Marella. I mean, he tried to be funny, but I just didn't find him that entertaining, really. What I did like, though, is that the match did, I mean, it made Santino look like an idiot, of course, in the match, but what I liked was the fact that Beth Phoenix was the one who got the win, after Mickey did some really nice, Bulldog DDT onto Santino Marella, and then Beth Phoenix, though, hit her with a kick from behind, and eventually hit her to the Glam Slam to give Beth Phoenix victory. So I feel like, the stronger of the two, I mean, Beth Phoenix is definitely the more credible wrestler, in my opinion. So I'm glad she was the one who got the win to give her and Santino each their second runs with the women's and Intercontinental Championships as well. So Beth gets the win again. The match was okay, nothing really that memorable. So I'll say it was just okay. So Beth and Santino win. Glamorella win. Afterwards, we have a Santino sitting on Beth's shoulders as they're celebrating pretty much. So, all right. I mean, I'm sure this was either, I can't remember if it was the 2009 or 2008 Royal Rumble, again, whichever one it was, with Santino going, I wasn't ready. Of course, he wasn't really liked, but, Anyways, so yeah, we had that match, which was, okay. And then, of course, we get to, my opinion, the best part of the show. This is a legendary moment, I feel. So this was during the midst of one of my favorite feuds, like, that I've seen, like, gone back and watched stuff from, since, I was a late bloomer fan. But 2008 featured a feud that I actually really wish I was watching live, and that was a feud with Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels. Now, neither of them had a match, but they had a segment where recently, Chris Jericho attacked Shawn Michaels, but he hurt Shawn Michaels' eye and gave him some eye damage. And there in the promos leading up to this segment, he was saying that for the first time he may have to listen to the doctor's orders for once. He came out with his wife Rebecca at SummerSlam, and that's what he pretty much said. He said that he feels that, for his own safety, him want to have a family someday, and him saying he can be able to focus on being a full-time father, he thinks that he should walk away from this. But then Chris Jericho came out, and he looked angry. And you'd think Chris Jericho would be happy that Shawn Michaels was leaving because of them feuding, and he thinking that, Shawn Michaels is taking away all the spotlight, despite the fact being a liar like he was. We lie about the knee injury, or the ankle injury, the knee injury he had. Because it's funny, because I actually remember years ago, just flipping through the TV. I think, my sister watched this off and on years ago. And I do kind of remember this segment, like, from years ago, like, seeing it live with Jericho and Michaels, with Michaels admitting that he was not hurt in that match, that Jericho was a special guest referee. He had to do whatever he had to do to win the match. Of course, Jericho even says in an interview also that it was a feud that, was only supposed to last just just one day or whatnot, just for that one match they had at Judgment Day, I think it was. It was a face on face when Jericho was still Intercontinental Champion, but it was just a one-on-one match. It wasn't for a championship or anything. But I remember seeing that segment like live years ago, even though I wasn't watching. I just remember, my sister would watch here and there. But anyway, so Jericho came out. He was angry. And he told Shawn Michaels, this is not how it's going to end. You are going to end by leaving and going home and telling your kids and whatnot that your career ended at the hands of Chris Jericho. And then, at first HBK was refusing to. Then Jericho was still telling him, no, you're just what you're going to do. Finally, HBK says he'll go home and he'll tell his kids, just like, how awful, of a person that Jericho is, and he needs to say that to his own kids himself. And it looked like he was about to walk away, but then Jericho had to throw a punch at HBK, but then he missed HBK and he hit Rebecca, his wife. Now, apparently also in an interview, I remember Michael saying that he didn't, like Chris even said too, he didn't mean to actually, but he actually did like full on hit Rebecca. Like he didn't mean to, but he pretty much just nailed her right in the jaw, pretty much, and that's what escalated this feud to a whole nother level. And of course, Michaels did not retire because he would wrestle for 2 more years, and because he retired after his match with the Undertaker, WrestleMania 26, of course. But yeah, it just what escalated this feud, probably the feud of the year in 2008, to a whole nother level. Man, it's a great segment. It just gives me chills watching it. It was just really well done in the midst of probably the best feud 2008, and Jericho probably one of the better runs of his career as well. So yeah, that was what that was. But yeah, I thought it was awesome. Definitely, in my opinion, my moment of the show, I'd say, was this segment right there. Then we had this 26-second match. It was Mark Henry with Tony Atlas taking on Matt Hardy for the ECW Championship. The match only lasted like 26 seconds because Hardy hit a twist of fate on Henry. Just showing how much WWE still thought the ECW brand, they thought was complete garbage. And then he hit a twist of fate on Henry, but then Atlas would pull Hardy out for disqualification, and he was trying beating down Matt Hardy, but Jeff would kind of make the save. So it's a cool moment having the brothers somewhat reunite, although it would set up for down the line when Matt Hardy was revealed to be the one who had been doing all these like mystery attacks and whatnot on Jeff, leading to their feud for WrestleMania next year. So the match was kind of more of like an angle to start setting up the seeds for that, I'd say, pretty much. So that was what it was. Mark Henry retains the ECW Championship. Then we had this match, which I thought was actually good. Definitely was not, that great, but I think it's kind of like, a match that I still thought was pretty good for what it was. And it's CM Punk taking on JBL. CM Punk this was his first run as World Heavyweight Champion after he cashed in Money in the Bank on Edge a couple months earlier that summer. And like, I'll be honest too, like the run he had as champion in 2008 was not as strong as it was 2009. And they did kind of like, play that into the storyline as this underdog champion that he pretty much was. And of course JBL was just, attacking him because of it. Now, I'll be honest and say most matches I've seen involving JBL didn't quite light the world on fire for me. This one kind of did a little bit. I thought it was some good back and forth action. I thought JBL really made Punk look like a strong underdog, and Punky made JBL look like, a dominating threat to him, I thought as well. So I think that these two worked very well together. I would say this is somewhat of a hidden gem, I'd say, because it's, Punk's first, because, you think about CM Punk at SummerSlam, of course, next year, 2009, he had that awesome ladder match with Jeff Hardy, which I can't wait to watch that again. That feud they had, Jeff Hardy and CM Punk, was pretty good. But I feel like, this is a hidden gem because, he still was able to do some good things as world champion this time around. I think he feuded with Batista also before this. But so this match at JBL, I think, definitely deserves like a hidden gem spot because it's definitely still a match that I still felt made Punk look like a good champion. Punk retains a hidden JBL with the GTS, and again, it was a pretty good match, I thought. All right, now we got Triple H versus the Great Khali for the WWE Championship. Last year, Great Khali and Batista just did not work well together at all. Triple H and Great Khali, I liked it a little bit better. Like, it was good enough for me to say the match was just okay. I mean, Khali just got, the "you can't wrestle" chants most of the match, which is very true. And Triple H, at least was trying to put together some type of offense in there for him to eventually retain over the Great Khali. And why was Great Khali getting the main event push? Yes, he was 7'4", 7'3", 420 pounds. However, talking about me every time I would hear Great Khali come out, he was introduced as 7'3", 7'4", something different. The guy was just boring. He just couldn't do anything. That's all I got out of Khali. I don't know, but again, Triple H at least tried. Like I would rather sit through this match again than sit through Batista and Great Khali again from last year. But still wasn't really anything too spectacular. Triple H retains. We can move on. Speaking of Batista, we had this match. It was the first time ever match between John Cena and Batista. These two kind of like, came up, Same ranks, we all know they both won their first world titles at WrestleMania 21. Of course, that was the same year also where John Cena and Batista were both eliminated from the Rumble match at the same time. Of course, that was not planned. And they had to start over again eventually to give Batista the win over John Cena, which established that for a while, Batista seemed to have Cena's number. And then they were still on separate brands, though, and they finally came together. And so it's like, it's time to actually see, who really is the better man. The better rising star from the past several years, Cena or Batista. The match wasn't too bad. To me, it was probably. Jericho and Michaels had the best part of the show. This is was probably the best match of the show. I felt, in my opinion, it was two baby faces just trying to prove who was the better one. I did feel it's kind of focused on too much of the power moves though they had in the match, which still wasn't too bad. I still think on a grading level I gave this match a B plus. But it definitely could have been a little bit better though. Like have some bigger moments than just trying to overpower each of them with their power moves and whatnot. I think this was the match. I think Cena does go on hiatus. He doesn't return again until I think Survivor Series when he takes the world title off of Chris Jericho. But I think this is the match where because towards the end there was a spot where Cena went to do like a drop kick off from the top rope or something like that. But Batista countered, grabbing him and hitting him with kind of like a modified Batista bomb pretty much on him. And I think that was when Cena broke his neck and he was out of action for a few months. He did come back to, again, he came back and he feuded with Chris Jericho and he got the world title thrown on him. Why? Why? He lost to Batista, but he has a world title opportunity down the line. I didn't understand that. Because Batista did pick up the win here. Which eventually, kind of sets up the fact that, hey, Batista has seen his number. And fast forward a year and a half later, WrestleMania 26, when they feud, which was Batista's last feud before he left, kind of set the fact that Batista was literally a threat to John Cena. So Batista got the win. Again, it was still kind of more of like just trying to do power moves on each other throughout the match, but for the most part, again, still thought it was a good showing for both of them. So Batista wins the match, and then we got to our main event, which is a Hell in a Cell match. Edge versus The Undertaker. Edge and Undertaker have been feuding for about a year at this time, pretty much. Of course, a couple months earlier at One Night Stand, it was Extreme Rules One Night Stand, whatever the heck it was called. Edge had retired The Undertaker because this is, of course, around the time where Edge and Vicky Guerrero were the power couple, and Vicky was the general manager, and she took the she relinquished the title off of Undertaker because she banned the Hell's Gate submission, which Undertaker used, and then there was no contest pay-per-view before that, and then the TLC, and then at One Night Stand they had TLC decided once and for all, the Undertaker didn't win, he would leave WWE. Well, then when Edge and Vicky got married, it was revealed that Edge had had a thing with the wedding planner, which was Alicia Fox at the time. Going on backstage. So that's what led Vicky Guerrero eventually to, bring back The Undertaker and put Edge through into Hell in a Cell, even though they didn't get divorced until, like a year later. So when Edge was no longer champion, and then Vicky resigned. Of course, there was the whole thing going with her and Big Show also, which that got a little weird. But anyways, so that's the story of leading up to this Hell in a Cell match. And, Edge was just going to people like, Mick Foley and whatnot, asking for advice, for Hell in a Cell. He'd never been inside Hell in a Cell before. He looked ready, but the match they had, it was good. But as the critics said, I felt the same way too. It felt like it was kind of like, a walkthrough of what Hell in a Cell really is. It looked like they had a couple different spots. They were big spots they were going to set for, and everything else was just they were going to wrestle until they got to that spot, pretty much. It was about a 25-minute match, too. The three spots in this match that were noted for was when Edge speared Taker through the cell. He also speared him through a bunch of tables. And then Undertaker also choke slammed Edge through a stack of tables. Other than that, wasn't really much of a Hell in a Cell match. It was still a good match, a great match. I definitely still enjoyed it. But it could have been a little bit better for a Hell in a Cell match. I just feel like, it's just okay, guys, this is what Hell in a Cell really is about. Eventually, though, Undertaker got the victory, though, over Edge. And after the match, it was kind of like, solidifying, the end of the long-going feud that they had with each other. The Undertaker climbed up the ladder and took Edge with him and choke slammed him through the ring. And then Undertaker, things the screen went black and white and whatnot. Undertaker was pretty much just praying to Prometheus, or however you pronounce it. I just had to read in my notes here. And it's what he pretty much set the ring on fire, pretty much. It pretty much emphasized, Edge may have won the battle, getting the world title over him and whatnot, but he lost the war because Taker was the one who came up on top inside his own yard, Hell in a Cell. And that's how the show went off the air. And that's it for SummerSlam 2008, which again was a good show, but again, it felt it could have been a little bit better than what it was. I give it a B. A solid B for SummerSlam 2008. What do you think of SummerSlam 2008? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And as always, remember to click by like and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at DemandAirborne83, and I'll see you next time for my SummerSlam 2009 review. So until then, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you all later for my special live stream. Peace out, everybody.